Strand, do you still have the singing birthday bear? Well, it's your turn to use it.
Hey, Mrs. Strand, do you remember in the 4th grade small group choir when we got to sing to the kindergarteners to help them out?
Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for such...
Start over again.
Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for being such an inspirational and great person.
Hi, Mrs. Strand. Do you remember when you made Mrs. Erlinson dress up as a Christmas tree in our Christmas play?
Hi, Mrs. Strand. Remember when you clap your hands and we clap back the same pattern?
Do you remember when we were playing statues and I ran into the cupboard door because it was wide open?
Hey, Mrs. Strand. Remember when you casted me in the 4th grade play but I refused?
Hey, Mrs. Strand. Did you know I still know all the lyrics to the Susie Snowflake song?
Hey, Miss Strand, I remember when you stopped a concert because a cell phone went off and you just stared into the eye. Hey, Miss Strand, remember when you always made us dump the rocks that we got from the playground out of our shoes into the garbage can? That was funny.
Hi, Mrs. Strand. I remember when you taught us the Tootie Talk.
Hi, Mrs. Strand. Do you remember in our 4th grade concert when if someone in the audience wore a hat, you would have to wear an elf hat?
Hey, Miss Strand. Thank you for teaching me the My Backyard's Full song. It inspired me. Hey, Mrs. Strand. Do you remember when we were doing the Humbug concert? That was the best.
Hey, Miss Strand, thank you for teaching me how to play statues.
Hey, Mrs. Strand, remember when you made me sit out because I hit someone with my boom whacker?
Hi, Mrs. Strand, thanks for teaching me about music.
Hey, Miss Strand. Do you remember when you taught us the snap clap game?
Hi, Miss Strand. Do you remember right before the talent show you helped me tune my guitar?
Hi, Mrs. Strand. Thank you for teaching me how to play the xylophone.
Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for teaching me about the Letterface people.
Hey, Miss Strand, thanks for playing piano at our concerts.
Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for being the best elementary school teacher ever.
Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for playing the piano at our choir concerts.
Hey, Mrs. Strand, remember in our 4th grade rehearsal when I almost passed out? That was funny.
Mrs. Strand, I remember when you told us all at each concert to look at your crazy earrings.
Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for playing the piano at our concerts.
Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for playing the piano at our choir concerts. Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for playing piano at our concerts.
Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for helping us do our best job at our concerts.
Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for taking so much time to teach us about music and being a great teacher.
Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for teaching us how to harmonize with many people.
Mrs. Strand, I remember how you helped us with all of the concerts and we couldn't have done it without you.
Mrs. Strand, I remember when you taught us how to play the recorders.
Mrs. Strand, I remember when you taught us the notes using Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Strand, for putting knowledge into our heads and for being an awesome teacher.
Mrs. Strand, I remember when you used to read the Black Lagoon books to us and say that you had a sword in your closet or something like that.
Hey, Mrs. Strand, remember when I had to wear that giant grandfather clock for the Christmas play?
Hi, Mrs. Strand. Remember when you always made us go tee-tee-tee-tee-ta-ta and stuff like that? That was funny.
Hi, Mrs. Strand. Do you remember when Daniel and Andy were fighting like crazy on Christmas and Daniel wouldn't stop? And you were laughing your face off? It was quite funny.
Hi, Mrs. Strand, do you remember during the concert me dressing up as Gangster Red Riding Hood?
Thank you for teaching me how to play the bells.
Remember when I was the drummer boy?
Hey, Mrs. Strand, thanks for teaching me many valuable lessons. Do you remember when I had to find 2 elf shoes and I only had one? We dumped out all the buckets and I ended up being in the first one.
Go for it.
We're kind of reading it. Thank you, Mrs. Strand, for playing in the piano.